Well, everybody knows that football usually comes down to the matchups on the field, whether it be offense, defense, in the trenches, like you and I always talk about. We're going to dive into that just a little bit today, talk about the Chiefs and the Eagles, how they face or how they match up head to head, how they're going to face off against each other. Let's start off with the Eagles offense versus the Chiefs offense and the Eagles defense. Tell me where you're looking in these two matchups to really be the key factor in this game.
All right, yeah, we're going to look at both sides and just kind of, bird's eye view, how we see it. Chiefs offense versus Eagles defense. A couple immediate things jump out to me. The number one is, how much of a game wrecker is Jalen Carter? That really the Eagles' success to me hinges on their ability to get after Mahomes. The one Super Bowl that Mahomes lost was that Super Bowl against Tampa, where his offensive line was decimated. He was running for his life, trying to make plays. No one else was helping him out. Their left tackle situation, the Chiefs' left tackle situation, has been terrible. It's been better since moving Joe Thuney out to left tackle, but now they've got a backup at left guard, whereas before they had the best guard-center-guard combo in the NFL. That has obviously affected their run game. I've seen some people suggest that they should move Thuney back into guard for this game and just roll with Humphreys or Suamatia or Wanya Morris at tackle to protect that interior against Carter. I understand that thought. I would not do it. I think you've had Thuney at left tackle for, since that Texans game me and you went to. So multiple weeks you've had Thuney at tackle. Yes, the interior is a little weaker, but I would trust Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith to be able to manage Carter. You got to have somebody at left tackle you can trust. You cannot let Patrick Mahomes' blindside be disrupted during this game. I think they're going to keep rolling like that. That's going to be something to watch early on. As we say, these games are won and lost in the trenches. For the Eagles to win this game, they're going to have to be able to disrupt and get to Patrick Mahomes. We saw the Eagles win the Rams divisional game because of Jalen Carter. That's the reason they won the game. Can he wreck this one? I've got other matchups between these two sides of the ball, but your comment first on that trench matchup.
Yeah, we know that the trench is going to have a huge deciding factor in this game. It always does in every single football game almost. But the one
especially
matchup,
playoff football, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The one matchup I'm actually looking out for is who is Patrick Mahomes' safety valve and number one target in playoff games, especially Super Bowls.
Travis Kelce?
Travis Kelce is going to be covered by none other than Zach Bond, the all-pro linebacker, who I think was brought in on free agency, by the way.
He's the special teams guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the special teams guy. So he's also one of the best linebackers in the game.
It's crazy.
He is going to be all over Travis Kelce. So this is going to be an interesting matchup to watch because for Patrick Mahomes to be able to win a Super Bowl, he has to hit Kelce on a few routes or even a touchdown or two. I think that just has to be part of the gameplay. If you show me a game script where Travis Kelce is non-existent and you have a win for the Chiefs at the end of that, I don't believe it.
But you say that, but it happened last week against, the Bills neutralized Kelce and the Chiefs were able to.
Super Bowl, though.
I know. I would agree. I think the Eagles play a lot of match defense where they've got a guy, but if a guy comes in their zone, they'll go and match it and cover him. They'll do a lot of doubles. They're pretty good at it too. But the thing here also, just talking about that, I'm glad you talked about that. That leads into this other topic, which is the main thing to watch. It's Andy Reid versus Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is, never won against Patrick Mahomes. He used to be the head coach of Denver, remember? So they played twice a year. Fangio is one of the better defensive guys in the league. However, with that said, he is simple. I don't mean that in a bad way. I think the Eagles, I can't remember the exact number, 80 to 90% of their defensive snaps are out of nickel. The Chiefs, I think they lead the league in 12 and 13 personnel, so where they've got 2 or 3 tight ends on the field. Is Andy Reid and the Chiefs going into 12 and 13 personnel going to force the Eagles and Fangio to go into a base, 4-3-3-4, whatever they run, or is he going to stay in nickel? I think that's something I'm going to watch really early because the Chiefs love to get in those 12 and 13 personnel, multiple tight end looks, not as much as they did earlier because now they have more receivers they can count on, but if they do that, does Fangio answer it with base, or does he say, nah, we're just rolling with nickel and hoping that works? I don't know. I don't know how well the nickel will work against it all game. That's going to be something to watch. But just like every Super Bowl, Andy Reid is going to have some magic cooked up. He got Sky Moore wide open for the touchdown last time these guys played. Andy Reid's going to have some stuff cooked up. can the Eagles corners hold up enough to allow that pass rush to get home? That's it. They've got to be able to cover long enough to let the pass rush get home. And you can't, it's easy to say, the other part, Ryan, you got to watch Mahomes' scramble. Everyone overlooks it. No one ever talks about it until afterwards. Patrick Mahomes always scrambles in the big moments. Last year's Super Bowl against the 49ers, multiple fourth downs, he scrambles for it. The Super Bowl against the Eagles on the bad ankle, that 1st and 10 scramble with 2 minutes left to get him into field goal range and ice the game. Patrick Mahomes' legs, if you're the Eagles, you got to keep him in the pocket.
Defense. Let's talk about the Chiefs' defense. And I'm going to kick this off with the thing I'm watching the most. I have 2 things, but specifically, it's going to be the run defense to try to stop Saquon Barkley, right? So the Chiefs are, they actually are 3rd place in EVE, which is efficiency versus expected against the run, right? So 3.8 yards per rush, which is the 3rd fewest in the NFL. So you say all that and you look at it on paper and you're like, oh, it's not bad. I mean, they played the Ravens. They played the Bills. They've played all these teams with great running backs. Atlanta Falcons, they played these teams and they've done pretty decent against the run, but they haven't played Saquon Barkley yet. I'm interested to know your take on this, but do you think the game is solely decided on Saquon's ability to break out big runs?
So I didn't know if you were going to go there. What you said on the end is what it is to me. Big runs. Yep. It's not the amount of yards Saquon has. It's the explosive plays. That's it. Because when you look at the Eagles offense, all of their explosive plays come from Saquon Barkley. Mahomes might hit you 60 yards over the top of it. That's the thing. It's like, even though the Chiefs dink and dunk and just take what you give you, at any minute they can hit a 70-yard dime. You're like, what happened? How did that happen? The Eagles don't do that, but they will hit you with a 70-yard run by Barkley. The NFC Championship, a perfect example. Washington goes on like a 14, 16-play drive, gets 3 points, feeling good. Boom, first play. Barkley goes for 70 yards and a touchdown, and it just breaks your spirit.
Yeah. And the defense is tired.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, well, this is going to be a problem. Obviously, Barkley's going to get his, but Spags is one of the greatest defensive coordinators in NFL history. I mean, he is a legend unto himself. He is going to have answers for Barkley. To me, how the game shifts on that comes down to the explosive plays. Does Barkley get 3 explosive plays? If so, that's a problem for the Chiefs. If you look at the end of the day and Barkley's got 107 yards and a touchdown, but he never had a run over 15, 20 yards, I think you feel good about it if you're the Chiefs. So that's something I think Spags is going to key on. If you're the Chiefs defense, I know this is kind of simple, but this is it. You want to force Jalen Hurts to beat you. That is the game plan. Not saying he can't, but if you lose because of Jalen Hurts, you can live with yourself. You can't go to sleep knowing you let Barkley beat you. The key to that, Ryan, and you'll agree with me, you've got to keep the Eagles behind the sticks. You can't let the Eagles get 4 yards on first down. If the Eagles are in 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5 all day, that's a problem. The Chiefs have to force the Eagles into 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10s, things like that, where Hurts has to pass the ball. So it's watch the explosive run, just keep Barkley maintained, and force them into 3rd and long, try to limit the tush push as much as you can, and hope you get them behind the sticks and force them to pass. And obviously, at the end of the game, let me just go ahead and tell Philly, in case they don't know, pressure's coming. You don't know when he's going to send it. You don't know where he's going to send it from. On the big gotta have it play, Spags is bringing pressure. You better have an answer for it, or you're cooked. And the Eagles have struggled this year with pressure. Their protections have not been good. Even Washington got through. It was like a jailbreak multiple times. If you don't have an answer for the Spags blitzes when they come, go ahead and hand the trophy to Kansas City.
So just to piggyback off that, you mentioned forcing Hurts to win the game for you, put the game on his shoulders. Well, then that also affects the secondary. And talking about Trent McDuffie, right? He's got to be able to play great football if that's what's going to happen, right? We saw a couple of catches from the Bills on McDuffie that were contested catches that he didn't come down with.
Yeah, but the coverage was good. Like the one to Mac Hollins, the coverage was perfect. It was just a Josh Allen ball. I don't think Jalen Hurts could. I mean, he might could throw that. He could throw that to AJ Brown, but
so that's my point. So Devontae Smith, he's that slant route burner guy. A.J. Brown's the guy that I think McDuffie's really going to be shadowing most of the game, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Especially if they're in man coverage or,
and they will run a lot of man. So.
Yes. And so, assuming that they can stop Barkley, and Jalen Hurts has to put the game on his shoulders, are you worried about McDuffie's ability to cover A.J. Brown? I tend to lean no.
No.
But it is something to look at because you have that safety valve of Devontae Smith, who we know that if A.J. Brown's covered up, Devontae Smith can carry the football game just as well.
Absolutely. That's one of the, I think maybe, I don't know if underrated's fair, but kind of underrated elements of the Eagles is the pass catchers. It's A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and then you didn't even mention your boy Dallas Goedert. Like, the Chiefs, you mentioned
you mean
it.
Mr. Reliable?
That's right. You mentioned it in our last episode. You were like,
I won money off of him.
You said, I'm not sure. I don't have the stats, but I feel like the Chiefs struggle against tight ends. Well, they're like bottom 3 in the league against opposing tight ends. They'll put McDuffie on it. Now that Snead's not there, they'll say, hey, McDuffie, take away the number 1, and then run their blitzes, whatever. Sometimes they'll blitz McDuffie because he's one of the best in the league at doing it. I'll be interested to see how they use McDuffie. Do they put him with A.J. Brown and say, take him away? It wouldn't shock me if they said, take Devontae Smith away. I could see them doing that and then rolling coverage to Brown and double covering him. You know what I mean? Just because Brown's so big, but McDuffie's like one of the best corners in the league, so he will be able to handle any assignment Spags gives him.
Or with Devontae Smith taking him away, you take away short to mid-range passing ability. A.J.
Right.
Brown's typically your deep threat. So
correct.
If you do shade the coverage to Devontae, you're forcing Hurts to throw 50-50 balls a lot of the time. So, yeah, I think that may be a great strategy. I'm sure Spags probably has it handled. I'm just going to bet that he's probably got it covered.
He probably don't need us.
Chris Jones, Cam Jurgens. That's going to be the battle to watch, if you ask me.
Is Jurgens play, like, have the Eagles, do they know who's playing center? Because I know they had that situation where one got hurt, Jurgens came in, Jurgens was hurt. Like, I know that's a little up in the air. I'm sorry.
5 hours ago, NBC says that Cam Jurgens says that he is good to go for Super Bowl.
Okay,
59.
so that's pretty important.
Yeah. So he's here.
The interesting thing, though, as you know from watching so much Chiefs football, Chris Jones will move around. He is not just going to stay in the center, deep tackle. He will edge rush because they don't have, like, the Chiefs don't have elite edge rushers. Karlaftis is good, very solid. Hey, we don't win that game last week without Karlaftis because before the 4th down blitz, he makes that shoestring tackle against the Bills. You know what I mean? That screen pass.
Yep.
I don't remember who it was to. That's a touchdown if Karlaftis doesn't get the shoelaces. So Karlaftis makes a lot of big plays. He's been in these moments, but Chris Jones is going to move around. He'll be in the center. He'll move to the edge. He's going to attack the weak link and come when you least expect it. And they're going to use Chris Jones to force you to move your coverage to him to free up blitzes elsewhere. Nick Bolton's going to be a big player to watch as well. The thing for me, when you mention Jones, as we saw last year in the Super Bowl, Chris Jones, like Mahomes, makes the big plays when you got to have it, as Jalen Carter on the other side has seemed to do. There's just so many great players that are going to have to step up. The edge I think the Chiefs have, I don't think the Eagles will be nervous or anything, but all of the Chiefs players, this is all they know. I mean, they just go to Super Bowls every year and they're like, yeah, we're just going to take care of business. It's going to be really fun to watch how the Eagles offensive line holds up because they've got one of the best offensive lines in football. You know, the best offensive line in football, one of the best we've seen in a long time. Is the Jurgens injury fully healed? Are they able to handle Chris Jones? And are the Chiefs able to, maintain and keep the Hurts run intact? Because the Eagles aren't very creative with their run game. They just run a couple of plays, but it's very effective.
Yeah, because of the offensive line that they're running behind.
Exactly.
This is just like week 21 for the Chiefs, It's not the Super Bowl. It's just It's week 21 or whatever the math will be on that.
Right.
I think it's roughly 21. But yeah, the Chiefs have been here. They've done it. The Eagles have also been here and done it. Not nearly as much as the Chiefs, but it's going to be a fun matchup to watch. Tristan, I'm going to ask you because this is, it was coming. Give me the score.
I am conflicted on if I think it's, the last one was high scoring. And I didn't expect that. I kind of don't think we get in the 30s. I don't think it's going to be like
31-27 Chiefs.
You think 31-27?
Yep.
I'm going to say 27-24 Chiefs.
Okay. All right.
I'm nervous.
Well, look, one thing you have to hang your hat on is the Chiefs are seasoned vets at this, man. They had the best coach in the NFL leading them. I think we also didn't mention Nick Sirianni one time.
We did not.
Just want to point that out. We talked about Kellen Moore. We talked about Vic Fangio. We did not mention Nick Sirianni because he is the front man for the Eagles. He is not the mastermind behind it all. I think everybody knows that. But he's also the one that I think would be on the hot seat. Last question, if the Eagles don't win, is that enough firepower for them to kick Sirianni out? Do you think they would?
No.
Or do you think that time's passed? He's done what he needs to do to secure at least another year.
I think he's done what he's to secure more. And honestly,
not that the question is not do you want him to go? Because I think a lot of people would want him to go.
Here's the thing, though. I'm just being honest with you. Me and you've criticized Sirianni. I am impressed with how he's bettered himself over the course of the season. Remember week 2 or 3, he was making a lot of bad decisions. He has been better, but at this point, he's the leader guy. He's just keeping everybody in check, emotions in check. It's the coordinators taking care of most of it, doing the game planning. He's just got to make sure people are ready to play. Ryan, I want to ask you, so we both think the Chiefs are going to win. We think we're going to witness history. By the way, the Eagles very well could win this game. I just wouldn't. Yeah. I'm not picking against Mahomes. Like I've told you, and I wouldn't pick against Brady.
I know more than anybody. If you go back through our YouTube videos, I'm the one holding the sign with duct tape over my mouth.
That's true. That's a fair point. If from your position, if I told you right now, hey, I can see into the future, and I tell you the Eagles won the Super Bowl,
I would have to ask you about some bets.
Yeah, and be like, look at those NBA lines. So looking into the future, and I'm able to tell you, hey, the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. Yep. If that's all you know, how do you think they did it? You're like,
Saquon Barkley has 120 plus yards.
Okay,
100%. If he gets 120 yards, I don't think the Chiefs win.
Really?
Yeah, I mean maybe 130. I think that's right around that cap. Like any more than that, the Eagles control the football game, or time wise, or they're just scoring so many points it doesn't matter.
Interesting.
I think that is, and it's. I think I proved this a couple of weeks ago, where the games where Saquon was held under a certain amount of yards, they usually don't win. Same thing with Derrick Henry. I think that's the magic number. It seems so. Henry's was the 100 mark, 100 yards. The Ravens usually win. I think Saquon, just noticing trends, I think Saquon's around 120. So I think anything past that, it's going to be really tough for the Chiefs to win. I mean, if you let Saquon run 120 yards on you, your defense isn't showing up that day. I'm sorry, that's just all there is to it.
I think I could see a scenario where that happens and Chiefs still win, as long as they were just a lot of 5 yards, 6 yards, as long as there weren't the big ones. But obviously, to get that many yards, you probably have to break at least one big one. We'll see how committed they are to it.
Or you have the ball for a majority of every quarter.
Right. And another thing you want to think on, in these playoff games, we've seen the Chiefs honestly don't play very good first halves in Super Bowls. They've been down 10 every Super Bowl and come back. In this one, if you're the Eagles, I'm going, if I'm the coach, I'm going for every fourth down. I am super aggressive, because the only way you can feel comfortable against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, you got to be up, and you say this as a Bills fan all the time, you got to be up by 2 scores with 3 minutes left. That's the only way you can even feel comfortable. Otherwise, you're like, well, 15 is going to figure it out.
The fourth down thing, by the way, we didn't talk about that much, but aside from, I think the Lions, the Eagles may be like the second most. They may even be the first most team to use fourth down or go for it on fourth down in the entire NFL. So I think that's going to play a huge part in it. For the Chiefs to eliminate the possibility of them doing the tush push is going to be huge.
Yeah, I agree.
To not get them in the 4th and 2s, 4th and 1s. Just don't get them there.
You got to keep them behind the sticks. Exactly.
You got to. Yeah, I know you said that earlier, but that is vital to your longevity in this game. You got to get your defense off the field. You got to do 3 and outs for the Eagles and let Mahomes just control the clock, man. I think that's the gameplay. We'll see on Sunday. It's only a few days away. Probably, what's that, 6 days?
That's right.
It's so late right now. I don't know if it's Monday or Tuesday.
It could be either one, but I'm excited. Super Bowl 59 is on the way. Either the Chiefs will make history and three-peat, or the Eagles will slay Goliath and bring a Super Bowl back to Philly for the second time in franchise history. It's going to be fun. We will be covering it. We'll record, obviously, on Sunday night, fresh out of the game, giving our instant reactions, and video will be up that week. Guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends about it. 2 idiots covering one sport, and we don't quit just because the season ends. We will be here through the offseason, videos every single week, free agency draft, all that stuff. Everyone have a safe weekend. Ryan, you have a safe weekend. I can't wait to watch the Super Bowl. It's here, and it's going to be a good one. See you guys after the big game. Goodbye.